This morning. Anybody seen the movie Cars? Oh yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great movie. And so this morning, I want to talk to you guys just very briefly about, and the title for my note takers is Fast Doesn't Go Far. Fast doesn't go far. Now, the reason I showed that clip there from Cars is one, Cars is just a great movie. It's a classic, I love it. But also, I've got my two boys sitting over there, and I told them that they had to pay attention today and listen to what I said. And showing a clip of their favorite movie was a surefire way to get them to pay attention. But this morning, I want to talk about slowing down. Because sometimes in our life, we try to go too fast. We try to accomplish things at a speed that's not sustainable. And what it does is that more often than not, it harms us in the long run. This is not even just in our walks with Christ. Going fast, too fast in anything is harmful. Anybody ever tried to eat too fast? Yes, no, maybe. Eating too fast, you know what it does? You swallow more air. You swallow more air, now you've got bloating, indigestion, bad gas, hiccups. I hate the hiccups. My wife will attest to it. She told me one time, she said, I've never seen somebody get so angry at the hiccups. That's me. And there's a perfectly good reason. When I get the hiccups, it's not a 15-minute ordeal. It's 60 plus minutes where I cannot stop unless I'm just chugging water, getting rid of it. So there's a reason for my anger there. Mine don't just go away like hers do. But we can't just do things too fast. Also, if you try eating too fast, believe it or not, the faster you eat, the less full you feel. Now, because you don't feel as full, guess what you're doing? You're eating more. And because you're eating even faster now, because you don't feel as full, you still are eating. Now what? You're overeating. Now you're gaining tons of weight. Now you're overweight, and it's just a bad place all around. Why? Because you tried to do something too fast. So maybe you said, you know what? I've decided I'm going to exercise. But maybe you try to do that too fast. Maybe you say, you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and I'm going to run 5 miles. That's too fast. There has to be a gradual increase. You can't go to the gym tomorrow morning and you haven't lifted weights in a year or longer and say, I'm going to start off on the bench with 225. No, don't do that. You will hurt yourself and it will be a bad situation. There's a way, there is a process that you have to go through. There's a process that you have to do things. And if you don't follow that process, if you try to do things too fast, you will hurt yourself in the long run. This even applies to our spiritual walk as well. For all of my note takers, here's the first thing I want you to write down. Going too fast will bring mistakes, missed steps, and burnout. Going too fast will bring mistakes, missteps, and burnout. Because you see, what happens is that if you've ever noticed the way our brain works, we think if I can go faster, I can get more done, right? Oh, come on, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You say, if I go faster, I can get more done. But usually what happens is that the faster you go, you become panicky, fidgety, you're making a bunch of mistakes that you wouldn't normally make. If you're ever watching sports of any kind, I've seen this on several occasions, especially on the college level or maybe the high school level, and there's a player out there and he keeps making boneheaded mistakes. And he gets to the sideline, the coach pulls him aside, and you can just read his lips, and the coach is like, slow down. You know what to do. You've practiced this. You know the play. You know what they're doing. Slow down. You're going too fast. Going too fast, all it does is it just proves to be harmful for us. This is what the Bible says in John 16 and 13. It says this, however, when He, the Spirit of truth, has come, He will guide you into all truth. For He will not speak on His own authority, but whatever He hears, He will speak, and He will tell you things to come. Galatians chapter 5 says this, starting with verse 16. I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusts against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary to one another, so that you do not do the things that you wish. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now, the word tells us there in those two verses, one, we're led by the Spirit, and also that the Holy Spirit is a guide to us. Now, has anybody ever been on a tour? Anybody ever had a guide before? Whether you were in a museum, you were touring a home. Okay, we're going to have very little crowd participation this morning, I see. Has everybody ever had a guide in anything? There we go. Okay, I see some hands now. All right, thank you. I know it's 8:50. Y'all should be awake by now. But if you've ever had a tour, the one thing you're not supposed to do with the guide is get in front of the guide. Has anybody ever had, I've actually been in a group like this one time where somebody thought they knew more than the guide. It's not fun for everybody else. Because then the guide is getting frustrated, like, sir, if you would just let me finish, I'll show you everywhere you want to go. But the thing is that when somebody is leading you, when somebody is guiding you, there's a perfectly good place you need to be, and that is behind them. But sometimes in our haste, in our desire to want to get to where we want to be, we try to get ahead of the Holy Spirit. We try to say, I'm going to go faster because I don't like where I'm at right now. I want to be up here. I want to get over there. I want to be ahead of all of, I want to go ahead and get past all of this. I want to get done with all of where I'm at. I just want to get over there. But there's a process. And that process is key if you're going to get to where you want to be. When you try to rush through things with God, you're going to find yourself frustrated more so than ever before. Mistakes will happen. Burnout will happen. You know, burnout is simply defined as overheating. And you know what happens? You know what causes overheating? Doing too much at one time. Trying to do too much than what you can process, than what you can handle. Computers overheat because you're trying to run a process on there that the computer can't handle. And if you say, you know what, I'm going to try and just beat the process and go and get there before I need to, burnout. You'll overheat. You'll wear out. You'll feel like you're running 100 miles an hour, but you're not getting anywhere. Does that sound familiar? Especially after a long day, you've been working, you've been running, and you sit down. It's 9 o'clock at night, you sit down and you go, man, I'm exhausted, but I don't feel like I got anything done today. It's the worst feeling in the world. It's the worst feeling in the world. We recently got my son a new pair of shoes, and he loved it. He loved his new shoes. He put them on, and he's all about powers, superpowers. And so the way he explained it to us is that his new shoes gave him superpowers to go super fast. And so he's just super excited. And so he's like, Daddy, watch this. I can go super fast. And he just takes off, but he's running in place. And it looked like he was going super fast. I could tell, like, man, if you actually moved a little bit, you'd be going somewhere. But that's how we feel sometimes. We're expending all this energy. We're running. But it's like we're on a treadmill. We're not going anywhere. We're not really getting anything done. Because going too fast, it doesn't get you very far. Now, that clip that I just showed from the Pixar classic movie Cars is essential because we see in this movie, and if you don't know the movie, that's okay. I'll explain a lot of it for you. We see in this movie where Lightning McQueen, he's got to fix this road. And he says, you know what? I don't want to be here in this place. I don't want to be in this town around all these people. I don't want to be having to fix a road right now. I've got places to be. I've got things to do. The way the movie explains it is that there's a big race happening in just a few short days, and he's got to get to that race because he's got to win the championship, and he's got to prove that he's the fastest race car, and he's got to get new sponsorship deals, and he's got to become the face of racing. But now he's stuck fixing a road. It's not where he wants to be. He's got things he wants to do. He's got places he wants to be. So he says, you know what, I know what I'm going to do. If I can just get it done and get it done over fast, if I can just quickly just rip the Band-Aid off this thing, then I can get to where I need to be. And so he takes off. And you see what happened. I'm the first one on the new road. It's terrible. It's not done right. And now he has to start over, scrape that brand new road that he made, scrape it all off and start all over and do it correctly, to follow the process in the right way. You see, having two boys, I know the Cars movies pretty well. And there's the first one and there's the third one. We don't count the second one. That one never existed. There's the first one and there's the third one. In the third movie, we learn, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, but in the third movie, it's been out for a while, you should have seen it already. But in the third one, it's revealed that Lightning McQueen is at the end of his career, and he's won 7 Piston Cups. He's won 7 championships by the end of his career. In fact, he's considered to be probably the greatest race car to ever do it. He is probably the best to ever do it. But in that clip, in that movie that we just saw, he hasn't won anything yet. Yeah, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of, he's considered the rookie sensation. He's going to go and win a championship in that movie. He's got all this raw talent, but he's got character issues. He's got flaws. He doesn't know what it takes to win. He doesn't have the necessary skills to do what he needs to do. He's so concerned in that moment with, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be vying for a championship. I want to be the best. That he doesn't realize that in that moment of while I'm fixing this road, while I'm stuck in this town, this little town of Radiator Springs, where nothing happens, nothing goes on, he's learning some truly valuable lessons of how to build character, of how to build friendship, of learning what the heart of a true champion looks like, of gaining skills that he'll need in future races, but he doesn't realize that at first. Let me show it to you in this way. Philippians 1:6, this is what it says. And I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. Let me give you another example. For me personally, the beginning of any job is the absolute worst part of the job. Anybody else agree with me? Like when you first get to work, or when you first get that pile of laundry out and you sit on the couch and you pick up that first sock, you just want to cry. Because it's one sock, next to you is a mound of about 100 socks, none of them have the matching pairs in there, and it's just an awful experience because you're like, I've got so much left to do. When I used to work for my father-in-law, when we had a new house build, that was the worst part of the job. I hated the beginning of a house build. You had to get out there and get in the dirt, and you had to make sure the dirt was graded and level, and you had to run all the pipe for the plumbing, and you had to, and don't get me started on concrete. That was the worst part of anything. It was all terrible. Just get me past all the beginning. But the thing is that it's a process. If you want to get to the end of that laundry being folded, you got to pick up the first sock. If you want a new house to be built, you've got to pour the concrete. If you want to get to anywhere, there are steps that you have to follow, processes you have to go through to get to the end product. I know we all want to see the end product. I know we all want to get there as soon and as fast as possible, but you can't rush these things. These things take time. And that's something that we all have to learn, is how to walk with grace through the process and to stop trying to rush and to go too fast where God has us in this moment. Nobody wants to fix a road. Nobody wants to sit there and do the hard work and to get your hands dirty and to work like you should during the process. But the second thing I want you to write down this morning is this: it is in the process that champions are forged. It is in the process that champions are forged. If you go back and if you watch the rest of that movie, and you can, really, it's just a great movie, but if you watch the rest of it, you'll see that Lightning McQueen, he takes his time, he paves the road correctly, but it's during that time where he begins to talk to the people in the town. You see, at the beginning of the movie, it's kind of a joke at first, but he doesn't have any friends. At the beginning of the movie, it's shown that he can't work well with others. He can't ever have a good team behind him because he thinks it's all about him. At the beginning of the movie, we see a selfish race car. We see someone who doesn't care about others. We see someone who has the potential, but they don't know how to truly win. But in this process of where he has to stop and fix a road, he learns how not only just to make friends, but to work with the team. He learns what it takes to truly win a race. He spends his time, when he's not fixing the road, driving around on the dirt road, practicing. It was kind of impractical. He even says so as much at the beginning. Like, why would I need to practice on a dirt road? I drive on pavement. This is complete. I don't need it, but then he starts doing it anyways. Of course, if you've seen the movie, you know it's revealed later because he practiced on the dirt road, it helps him be able to be a winner in the future. In the process, in the time that you're in right now, you are learning the things necessary for where you want to be. It's easy to see the end and say, I just want to get to that point right there. Well, can I tell you this? Nobody is going to wake up tomorrow morning and be there. You're not going to reach that moment with one good night's rest. You're not going to reach that moment just hoping and really, really praying that you can just get there when you wake up tomorrow or in a week. No, it is a process that takes time and effort and energy. You see, we as people, it's a flaw of ours, but we chase moments. That's what we love. We love the moment. We love to chase the moments. You see, when you're a kid, you can't wait until you become a teenager. Because when you're 7, 8, 9, mom and dad, they don't really tell you anything, and they don't let you do anything, and just mom and dad are just terrible. And so you're like, well, when I'm a teenager, I can know things, and I can do things, and I can go where I want to go. Well, then you become a teenager, and guess what? They still don't tell you things. You still can't go places. So now what do you say? Well, man, I know I'm 13, 14, but wait till I'm 18. Because when I'm 18, I'm going to graduate high school. And then I can know things. And then I can go places. And then I can do what I want to do. Well, then you graduate high school, and then you realize, I need how much to go to school? It's how much for gas? I have to get a job? But then you think, you know what? That's fine. That's cool. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to start working, live on my own, be my own man, be my own woman. I'm going to go to college, get an education, become a doctor. I'm going to become a lawyer. I'm going to become whatever it is, a nurse, whatever it is. That's what I'm going to do. Well, then you get to college and you think, oh man, this may not be all that I thought it'd be, but you know what? I know what? I'm lonely, so I'm going to get married. Yeah. That's the next big thing, right? You go to college, you've got a job, you're a young adult, you think the next thing, let's just find a spouse and get married. So then you get married and it's like, okay, what's next? Well, I guess the only logical thing is to have kids. Let's have kids. So then you have kids and then it's like, well, I guess we just wait to retirement now. That's the next big thing. We're just going to wait. We chase moments. We chase, what's the next big thing we can do? What's the next big place that we can get to? What's the next? But have we ever stopped and looked back, and have we ever just really embraced the season that we were in? Have we ever just really said, you know what? If you're in high school right now, said, okay, how do I need to grow right now as a high school student? I'm not just trying to just wait till I can just get out of here or get away from mom and dad and go off to college. What do I need to be doing right now to improve me? Or maybe if you're in college or you're working and you're just a young adult, and instead of just going, man, I just got to get married, instead of chasing the moment, have you just stopped and said, what do I need to do right now when it's just me? Maybe you are married and you're a young married couple, you don't have any kids just yet. You say, you know what? What do we need to be working on right now together before we bring kids into this process that we're in? I know we're trying to chase to the end product, get the white picket fence, the 2 kids, the 2 cars in the garage. I know we're trying to chase end products and moments and dreams, but you can't speed through it. You can't rush through it. Going too fast, you won't go anywhere. Maybe, I know Pastor mentioned it, talking about the discipleship class. Maybe you say, that's me. I want to be a leader one day. I want to lead my own class. I want to lead my own ministry. Maybe you say, I don't want to lead a ministry, but I just want to reach faith, new heights of faith. I want the faith of some of these guys in this room, some of these women in this room. I want to get to that moment. Maybe you say, you know what, I just want to be able to lay hands on people and pray for them, and God answers and they're healed. I just want to reach certain. Understand, you're not going to wake up and it's there. The people that you look up to right now and you say, man, Pastor Lott, he's just got faith. He can pray for it. Understand, he didn't wake up one day and God just struck him with lightning and said, here you go. You're just a man of great faith. You're a man who can do. No, it was a process. You have to understand what it takes to get there. And you're not going to speed through it. You can't. You'll wear yourself out and then you'll quit. There is no speeding through this thing. To share a story, I used to work for my father-in-law, like I mentioned earlier. And because of the type of work that he did, it was, sometimes we were on fire and we had tons of work. Whether it was remodel, whether it was building a house, it didn't matter. Sometimes it was just like plenty of money, whatever it was. And then other times, there was nothing. There was no calls, it was just one big month and a half, 2 months, sometimes a couple of weeks where nobody was calling, nobody wanted a new house, nobody wanted to remodel anything. And so what it was is that he would call me. There was one week where he called me and he said, hey, listen, I know you're worried about paycheck. Don't worry about a paycheck this week. Because I was working for a church, part-time as a youth pastor. Me and Hope were we were newly married. So, you're in love, but you got no money. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about. When you're young and you get married, you love each other, but you're broke, so that's all you got. You just cruising on love, and that's it. And that's what we were. We were just cruising on love. That's all it was. And so the church couldn't hardly pay me to be the youth pastor or anything. It was very little. And so her dad, my father-in-law, gave me work just to help him out. And so he said, hey, call me. He said, hey, look, we don't have any work right now, but don't worry about a paycheck. Just come to my house. I got some work for you to do. And when you get here, just do that for this week, and then, I'll pay you. And so I get to his house, and he takes me out to his backyard, and you just got to understand something about his backyard. It's just the worst backyard ever. I don't know why they built his house there, which he built. I don't know why he built his house there, of all places. But imagine, if you will, all these rocks behind me, and there's just a very thin layer of dirt across it. And there's just literally rocks everywhere. I don't know if it was a rock quarry and a little bit of mud fell on it, and then they built a house on top of that. I don't know, but it was terrible. There were just rocks everywhere. And so he took me out there. He said, Chase, you see all these rocks? And I can just see them poking up from the dirt everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, I see them. He said, they keep, when I get my mower out here, it chips my blade and everything else. So he gave me a shovel and he gave me a pickaxe. He said, I want you to go and start collecting rocks. And they just put them in the bucket and go and just, when you get them in the bucket, take them up to the hill and just stack them up and make like a little natural rock wall up there along the ridge. You know what it was? Busy work. My least favorite kind of work. Anybody else can agree with that? Oh, come on, I know I'm not I hate busy work. I'd rather be getting something done, not just you occupying my time, but that's where we were. It was busy work. And so I got out there and I had my shovel, I had my pickaxe, and I had a little bucket, and it was just terrible. I'm out here and I'm yelling at God, but I call it prayer, and so I'm like, this is so stupid. Why am I even here right now picking up rocks in my I don't even want this job in the first place. It's terrible. And the whole time, In my anger and my frustration, God was trying to speak to me and I couldn't even understand it because I couldn't listen to him, because I so badly wanted to skip this step that I was in. I just wanted to rush through it, get it done. I wanted to get to the next big thing. You see, like I mentioned earlier, the church I was at, I was a youth pastor at the time. Man, they couldn't hardly pay me anything, and that bothered me. Why? Because I wanted to reach the pinnacle. I wanted full-time ministry, to get paid to do ministry like for a living. The way that my dad was doing and other ministers and pastors were doing. And I had friends who were youth pastors, and they were getting paid full-time salaries. And here I was picking rocks out of my father-in-law's backyard. It was terrible. It wasn't fair. How come they got what I couldn't have? Anybody else ever been there? Oh, come on. I'm going to preach a little bit this morning if you'll help me. I didn't want to be out here just picking rocks out of my father-in-law's backyard, but that was where God had me in the process of it. Yeah, I wanted to rush off, and I wanted to be a full-time minister, and I wanted to be, get paid to, and Pastor Lott, he'll laugh at this when I say this. I wanted to get paid to just sit in my office and study sermons all week, right? Because that's all us ministers do. It's not. But that's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was then. I was young and I was naive, and I thought if I just want to chase the next big thing. I just want to get to that moment. I don't want to be right here. I don't want to be fixing a road. I want to be a champion. I want to be somebody that people look up to. I want to be somebody that's getting things done, not just busying my time with this. I'm not learning anything right here. I'm not accomplishing anything right here. This was all a waste of time. It's a good thing that God knows better than me, because I would have quit a long time ago. But God knows better than me, and he said, no, I'm trying to get you to understand something right now. So when I got all the rocks picked up and put in the bucket, he would call me and say, we got another job, and it would be painting, or it would be framing, or it would be, hanging sheetrock or sanding sheetrock, the worst, or it would be, doing, no matter what it was something we were always doing. I remember the first time I ever worked for him, the very first job I ever did. We were putting windows in. He said, hey, go to my trailer and get the Sawzall. I said, okay, you got it. And I walked off into the trailer. Had no idea what a Sawzall was. No idea. And so I got in the trailer and I looked around and I was like, okay, if I was something called a Sawzall, it implies a saw of some kind. Let's see. Okay, I know it's not that one. I know. After about 5 minutes and him calling my name, I was like, hey, I was like, I'm so sorry. I thought I knew. I don't. What is a Sawzall? He said, I'm sorry, I just call it that. It's a reciprocating saw. I'm like, got it. Went back to the trailer. No idea what a reciprocating saw is. So now I'm looking around in the trailer and I'm like, okay, reciprocating. What is the definition of reciprocating? After about 5 more minutes, it's been 10 minutes now of me looking for this saw, and he's just, if you knew my father-in-law, it's funny, but it wasn't funny in the moment. And I went to him and I said, hey, listen, I don't know what a reciprocating saw is, a Sawzall, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what it is. He got down, he came in, he showed me. And so for the next 3 years, I worked for him, and we had a great time, and I learned so much. Never wanted to work for him. Tried not to work for him. Had to work for him because I needed to pay rent. It's a process. Third thing I want you to write down is this: the process is not meant to harm you. It is meant to prepare you. The process is not meant to harm you. It is meant to prepare you. Like I showed you in those clips with from Cars and with Lightning McQueen, he's fixing a road. He's learning things. He's learning how to become a better individual before he ever gets back up there to start racing again. You see, when I was out there and I was working with my father-in-law and I'm picking up rocks or I'm painting a wall, things that I didn't want to be doing, I wanted to be coming up with great new lessons for ministry and, just turning the world upside down for Jesus. That's how I thought. But while I wasn't doing that, I was over there just hammering nails and pulling nails out of old used 2x4s because I guess we could reuse the nails. I don't know. He was something else, my father-in-law. None of that I wanted to be doing, but it was a process that I had to go through. It was preparing me. Preparing me for what? I don't know. Maybe it was just teaching me patience. But there was a time where the Lord spoke to me very clearly, and He said, hey, your season of where you're at is ending. I want you to step away from the church you're at. And so I went to Hope. I shared with her what God had, just very clearly. I tell people, if God ever spoke to me, and it was then. I understood very clearly what God asked me to do, and we stepped away. It was very tough for us because that was just a very hard thing to do. And so then for the next month, we sat in radio silence. I kept working with my dad-in-law a little bit, but we weren't teaching at the church anymore. We weren't doing anything. And so people kept calling me and texting me saying, hey, I heard you stepped away. Where are you going now? That's embarrassing because it's like, I got no idea. Because usually when a minister steps away, it's because, he's going somewhere else. Me, I just stepped away because I don't know where I'm going. It was tough. And finally, just after a month where, and again, God very clearly was like, hey, I want you to step away. And I'm like, great, I'll do that. So then for the next 30 days, okay, God, what do I do next? Radio silence. And I'm like, you've really put me in a bad spot here, buddy. But I was learning. It's a process. I got a phone call a month later and said, hey, this church, looking for a couple, do you want to meet the pastor and his wife? Like, yeah, let's do it. So we go, we have lunch, and it's Pastor Tim and his sister Elise. We sit down with them, and it was crazy. It's already been 4 years since that happened, but we sat down with them, and of course, Pastor Tim, he looks at me, and he's like, well, hey, like any good employer would, he's like, what else can you do? And I had to smile just a little bit because obviously as a minister, you expect like, I can teach a class. I can preach a little. I can pray. I know how to do things that a minister can know how to do, It's like, well, what else can you do? And I said, okay, well now I can swing a hammer. I can paint a wall. If you've got rocks that need to get picked up, I really know how to do that. I was kind of my high selling point right there. Like, hey, if you got them, I've got some experience. It's funny because if you ever see a freshly painted wall around the church, it was probably me that painted it because Sister Elise texted me and was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Like, what do you want me to be doing tomorrow? And she's like, I got a wall that needs to be painted. Okay, I'll paint it. It's a process. Yeah, I wanted to just rush off and just become and be the next big thing, get to the next big place, but you have to understand that you are never just going to land there on your own. You'll get there one day. The Bible is very clear that if you do not give up in due season, if you do not grow weary of doing good, it says you will get there. But you got to keep it up. You've got to stay in the game. You've got to go and keep going with the process. There was a man who understood this. You know him. His name was David. 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 13, it says this. Then Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon David from that day forward, and Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. And I'm getting ready to close, but if you'll just hang with me just for a few more minutes. David understood this so well. Because you would think that if somebody walked into your house and they poured oil on your head and they said, hey, you are the next king of Israel, you would think, oh man, let me go pack my suitcase right now and let's get gone. There was only one problem. There was already a king of Israel. His name was Saul. David, when he is anointed, he goes and he just gets cleaned up, washes all the oil off of him, and you know where he goes? Right back out to the field, right back out to his sheep. And he starts watching his sheep and protecting his sheep and playing to his sheep. He keeps writing more psalms. After a little while of doing that, the nation of Israel's in a war with the Philistines, so his dad says, hey, I need you to send some supplies up here. I need you to go and deliver some supplies to your brothers. He goes there, he finds a blaspheming giant named Goliath, and David says, you know what, if nobody else will stand up to him, I will. He kills the giant. So now David's anointed king, he's killed a giant, single-handedly won the war for Israel. You would think, now, no, you know where he goes? Back to the field, starts watching sheep, protecting his sheep, playing to his sheep. Well, then he gets a call again from his dad. It says, David, pack your bags, you're going to the palace. This is it, I'm king, right? No, Saul the king wants you to come play for him. Oh, okay, I thought you were saying it was, no. So David packs his bags, he goes and he moves into the palace, and anytime Saul gets angry because an evil spirit is tormenting him, David comes in, begins to play and sing. And the evil spirit is run off for a little while, and David goes on about his business. Well, during that time, David says, you know what, I guess while I'm here, I'll join the army. So he joins the army, gets really good at fighting, starts winning a bunch of battles for Saul. All the people start really liking David, and David's like, man, this has got to be it. This is the moment, right? This is where I'm going to... No. He's playing one day, and Saul takes a javelin and hurls it at David's head. David now has to run for his life. He spends his teens and his 20s on the run, hiding in caves, living in abandoned fortresses and huts, all trying to protect his life from the madman king who wants to kill him. And I imagine there were several nights where David was sitting there laying awake, trying to go to sleep if he could, and thinking, I thought I was anointed to be king. And I'm living in a cave. I'm being chased around like a criminal, like I've done something wrong. And in these moments, it was a process that David had to go through. Because, yeah, there came a time eventually where Saul died. David, 15 years after he was anointed, would be made king over all of Israel. 15 years. Some of you get upset with God if 2 weeks pass and he hasn't heard your prayer. You have to understand that it is a process that takes time. You can't go too fast. David couldn't kick open the doors and say, Saul, get out, I've been anointed king. It's my turn now. It's my spot, it's my place. No, that's not how it works. You may be in your moment right now where you're fixing a road. Maybe you're in your moment where you're picking up rocks. Trust me, I've been there. It's not fun. And you're thinking, I don't want to be doing this. I don't see how I'm reaching lives. I don't see how I'm any closer to where I want to be. I don't get how I'm any closer to the man or the woman that God has called me to be. How is this making me better? How is this getting me to a place where I can really understand it as a process? But I don't don't worry about that. Just pick up rocks. But when do I, don't worry about that. Just fix the road. Take your time. Keep working. Don't get tired in doing good. But all I'm doing is, no, you're doing good. You're doing good. It may not be what you want to do right now, but you're doing good. But I thought that I would be, you will, soon. You'll get there soon. But right now, I need you to pick up rocks. Right now, I need you to fix a road. But God, that's not where I want to. I know I don't have you here for no reason. There was something I wrote years ago, and I thought it was so applicable for this sermon. Everybody knows the story of the Israelites when they were in the wilderness. And God finally says, I'm tired of your sin. I'm going to punish you. All the older generation has to die out. It's going to take 40 years for that to happen. And at the end of the 40 years, you guys can go into the promised land, and you can conquer it. So for 40 years, they wandered in circles. They had to live off of manna and quail. And it was a grueling process. All the older generation, they knew they had to die. But what God was doing is he was saying, I have to get rid of the things in you before I can ever send you into the promise. What's the point of the process? It is to prepare you for the promise. There was a time when I was praying and I was single. I was just so lonely. It's a little bit of humor. But I was praying and I said, God, I want a wife. I want to get married. And finally I met Hope and we started dating and it was great. But I asked God in prayer one time. I don't know why I asked him, but I asked him. I said, why did you not send her to me sooner? Like you could have saved a lot of hurt. You could have saved a lot of energy and time on my part and some money on my part if you just sent her to me sooner. You know what the Holy Spirit very clearly said to me? If I would have gave her to you sooner, you would have lost her because you weren't ready to receive her. Sometimes we get so occupied with, I just want to get to that moment. We never stop and ask ourselves, am I ready for that moment? Come on. Am I ready to be a leader? Am I ready to have the faith to pray for somebody and believe God can heal them and it happens? Am I there yet? You have to ask yourself that question. Because if not, you know what you get to do? Come pick up some more rocks. Why? Because I'm preparing you for that moment. Because it's coming. And you're going to get to that place where people are going to be looking up at you going, I want to be like Pastor Chase when I'm older. I want to have his faith. But I'm not going to get there overnight. I'm not going to get there in one day. I got rocks to pick up. I got a road to fix. I've got a process I have to walk through if I'm ever going to get there. This is what I wrote in regards to that story with the Israelites, and they'll put it up on the screen. It says, don't hate the wilderness for what it is. Embrace it for what it does. Oh, I know, it's a tough place to be in the wilderness. It's a tough place to be in the process. Nobody likes wandering around doing busy work. Nobody likes God cutting away at the things that don't belong. You're too arrogant. You're too prideful. I got to cut that off of you. Ow, God, that hurts. I know, but if you want to get to where I want to put you, we got to walk this thing out. Okay, God, don't hate the wilderness for what it is. Embrace it for what it does. What does it do? It prepares you for the promised land. It prepares you for the place that you want to be. When God came to you and he gave you that promise and he said, I'm going to deliver on it, that's such an exciting moment. You know what's not exciting? Waiting until you see it. But like the word says, is God a man that he should lie? No. There's a reason you're walking that out. Will you stand with me this morning? My hope this morning is that you're encouraged. Encouraged that the place that you're in, the moment that you're in, is only temporary. You are not stuck there forever. You are not going to wander around forever. You are not just spinning in circles, getting nowhere forever. What you are doing is God is preparing you to move into the next season. He has got you in that place so that you can grow and become the person that He knows He wants you to be. But don't give up. Don't try to rush through it. Don't go too fast. I'll say this and then we'll pray. It's kind of like a classroom. You go in a classroom, why? To learn a lesson. If you don't learn the lesson, what happens? You got to repeat the class. And you got to keep repeating that class until you learn the lesson. If you feel like you're spinning wheels, if you feel like you're truly not getting to where you need to be, you need to ask yourself, you need to ask God, what's the lesson? What are you preparing me for? What do I need to be learning right now in this moment? And start picking up rocks with a heart of gratitude, with long suffering, with gratefulness. Because just know, every rock you pick up, every inch of that road you fix, you're closer and you're closer and you're closer to the promise that He has for you. Will you bow your heads with me this morning? Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord. God, I thank you that you are a God of process. You are a God who is constantly working on the inside of us, preparing us for new seasons and new opportunities, for new levels. God, I believe, Lord, that the people in this room, God, I believe that they are encouraged, knowing, God, that they are not stuck in this moment, but this is just a moment of preparation, that you are simply getting them ready to move to the next place you would have them be, Father, that you are getting them ready to be the men and women you've called them to be. Lord, whether we're fixing a road, whether we're picking up rocks, whether we're painting walls, whether we're hammering nails, no matter what the task is, let us do it with a grateful heart. Let us do it with a patient heart, knowing that you are going to complete the good work that you began in us. And Father, I just